All right, enough of the vacation. I've been in sandals, board shorts, hanging with my kid, backyard parties, hot dogs, watermelon. I think I've gained 20 pounds, but hey man, we're in summer. It's been a while since I posted a video, and now I'm back in socks and underwear, doing the daytime job and everything else. But we have time for my favorite hobby, which is the Scott Fish Bowl. Hooray! Right. This is amazing charity. It's all for the kids. It's helping kids around Christmas get some toys for tots. Scott Fish, an amazing, awesome individual who puts this thing on. I'm lucky enough to be invited. It's my third time back. Made the playoffs the last 2 years. Last year was my best finish. I had Mahomes in the fourth round, if you could believe it, with Juju and Amari, and I had a stellar, amazing run. This year, it's a little different, right? I'm at the 2 slot over here. I took Kamara. I'm not high on Saquon Barkley. People are asking me, what the heck are you doing here, John? You passed on McCaffrey and Barkley. My druthers were, if this guy, Bobby, who's very good, by the way, at Fantasy Bros, if he would have taken Saquon, I would have easily taken Zeke. But he didn't, because he knows what I know. And in these settings, the first downs are critical in the Scott Fish Bowl. Go look it up, scottfishbowl.com. You can look at the settings. Basically, in a nutshell, okay, everything's balanced, right? That's why you're seeing Travis Kelce at the 6, okay? That's why you're seeing maybe Mahomes at the 10. There's really no wrong way to do this, but if you run the numbers and you really dig and you listen to smarter people than I am, this Scott Fish Bowl actually helps a guy like you play in redraft because you're going to see trends, okay? And what I like to do is I'm, one of 99 other, rooms of 12 people drafting. So there's a lot of people in here. There's 1,200. I think when I first started, there was 600 or something like that. And then last year was 900. Now it's moved up to 1,200. Scott is very generous. And again, Fantasy Cares, consider donating today. It's an amazing charity. I just did today. And I'm happy to be back. But getting to the point here of the balanced, player profile here, there's still some holes, okay? Typically, how he does it, and he changes it every year. Now there's some bonus features. That's why I took Andrew Luck here. You might say, well, why didn't I take Rodgers? I think Luck is seriously just juiced and primed for a huge year. Let alone these settings can just absolutely grease this machine for Indy. That's why I took Luck there. And then I got Mike Evans on the turn. Interesting how, this guy went Fournette. I think his plan, because I just texted Bobby, was, and great guy, by the way, I think he was trying to go for Gurley. So if Gurley would have fallen, he would have got 3, let's call them high-volume running backs. And he's right. See, in this setting, you want those high-volume running backs because all they got to do is get like 50 yards, right? There's bonuses there. You get first downs. You get all this stuff. So truthfully, in my opinion, I may have made a mistake taking Luck right there. I might have taken a runner here like Chubb. I think Chubb is still out there on this board. But I think where my gut said is I've had Evans for a long time. I have him in plenty of dynasty leagues, and what you're seeing with Bruce Arians and you're hearing everything is true, I think comes to fruition, and Evans is just a dominant chess piece. So for me, if you're looking at this board and you're wondering why I took the guys I took, I think I'm going for a balanced approach at the beginning, and I will seriously throw some mega darts here in the middle of this draft. And being a dynasty guy, I'm probably going to go get some young guys. So let me take you real quick on why I didn't take Saquon Barkley, why I didn't take McCaffrey. We already talked about the number 1 hole. If he didn't take Barkley here, and he's smart not to, I don't see Barkley having the year he did. I think people are just so lulled to sleep by what happened last year. This is a completely different year. He will see some 8-man fronts. You hear it, yada, 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 but it's true. I just don't see the Giants. Now, call me wrong. Barkley could be the MVP, but in this setting, the core 4, you could kind of arrange him any way. But for me, it wasn't Saquon Barkley, so I was thinking Elliott, right? I wanted Zeke. I wanted those first downs. I didn't get him, and so why Kamara? Kamara is reliable. He's consistent. He's going to hit these big bonuses in this league with first downs. And I just think the Saints are going to be fierce again. So to me, building a team around Kamara is a lot of fun because you can actually wait on running back a little longer. And that's why I balanced my team out. I've already talked about Luck. But why McCaffrey, right? Why wouldn't I take McCaffrey at 2? I'm just not so sure about Cam Newton. And people say, well, you shouldn't worry about him. It's the running back, right? It doesn't matter who's behind there in center. I think it kind of does. I'm not really a fan of guys bulking up either like he did. Now, call me crazy, and he could have an amazing year. And the guy is so talented. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in this format, I just didn't feel it. The 2 unknowns went 3 and 4. And that's kind of how I saw it. And the 2 steady Eddies went number 1, right? And number 2, Kamara and Elliott. I don't think there's any wrong way to do this. But I just felt in my gut that's how I was going to build this thing around. Latavius Murray, let's talk about him really quick. People say, oh, well, he's going to really eat some carries and he's going to take everything from Kamara. You know what Latavius Murray is going to do is he's going to go blast right and blast left, and he's going to do dive patterns. Is he going to keep the offense moving? Listen, people, the offensive linemen don't like to take steps back. I don't know if you know any. You should get to know some of your friends, whether you're high school or you watch college football or you know any of these people in the industry, okay? Go talk to them. Have a beer with them and say, listen, is it very fun to pass block? Hell no. It sucks. These defensive ends, these defensive tackles are vicious, okay? So with that said, it's easier to run block, right? It's easier to go downhill. That's what the NFL used to look like. And with Latavius Murray, that offensive line's going to love that. I think it's a better setup than it was with Ingram, because I think Ingram was able to do very many things different than Latavius Murray. Murray is just an amazing guy anyways. I mean, he is a team player. So you have actually the beautiful package that New Orleans Saints is starting to uncover, because Breeze knows this. When they want to get a nice lull in the action and they need that 3rd and 1, Latavius Murray all day. Boom. Great. It bounces Kamara outside, it keeps the interior defense, and it keeps the linemen fresh, right? Because you're still going to have to throw the ball, and Breeze needs that help. He's getting older. So those are kind of some of my reasons why I think Latavius Murray actually helps Kamara, and people are driving me crazy when they say, no, I'm not believing that. I think he's going to hurt. So with that said, some of the picks I was looking at here were Devontae Adams. I thought that was a very, very nice choice here. Your Hopkins pick here with Rotopat, solid, right? I think this pick probably, in my opinion, should have gone here at number 5. David Johnson, I took him last year at number 5, and, I was disappointed, but they got Kyle Murray, who I'm very high on this year. You can go ahead and reach for him. You can go up in your redraft. I think Kyle Murray will have a fantastic year. But I also know that DeAndre Hopkins is just the number 1 wideout, and I think you can safely take him at the number 5 if you kind of segment this draft into 3 sections. It's funny because a lot of people think, Juju Smith-Schuster is the number 1 wideout, and he very well could be. These guys are going to battle it out, in my opinion. So what's coming next, and why didn't I take Antonio Brown? Because that was kind of one of my thoughts was I could lock up Antonio here and then roll the dice. I'm pretty sure this guy would have taken my luck pick here, and then I probably would have been left with Kamara, Brown, and Aaron Rodgers if he didn't take Fournette here. I think Antonio Brown's going to be very good. I think he's going to keep Derek Carr interesting. Derek Carr has some really nice long balls, very accurate. One of the most accurate long ball throwers. It's just I think he's got a bad rap because of the offensive line, and people are just maybe forgetting what he used to be, and he never really had a fair chance. So watch for Carr this year to turn Antonio Brown into a pass-catching beast that we all know. It's just going to be a little different. I just want to see how the changes go with the Gruden coach. Gruden likes to run the ball, so that'll be interesting with Antonio Brown. I wasn't very high on Connor. He was somebody who I thought would go earlier in this draft. I was actually surprised guys waited on him because we got Jalen Samuels coming, folks, and I'm telling you right now, as this draft unfolds, there's 2 guys that everyone's talking about right now, and the fact is they're both legit. Jalen Samuels, right, and Darrell Henderson of the Rams. So this Gurley owner, right, he's thinking, okay, I got Gurley here, and now he's going to try to lock up Darrell Henderson. What he needs to do here, though, is maybe build some other chess pieces. So I'm hoping Henderson obviously slides down for me. That's who I'm really, really high on. My buddy saw Sean McVay at a charity event, and we were talking fantasy, and we were talking about our league. And our league's crazy. You guys have listened to some of these videos and everything, and I got 53-man rosters that start from 75 in January, February, and we got to cut back just like the real NFL. I told you I got punters, kickers, head coaches. We're crazy, right? We do it. And McVay's going, damn, that thing is gangster. That is a gangster league. So it was fun hearing that from my really good buddy who was talking to McVay. But anyways, cutting to the chase with Henderson, the guy's legit, dude. And one of the things Coach was talking about, other than this Kamara, Latavius Murray setup they got, because Kamara runs just like Darrell Henderson. I should say the opposite, right? Vice versa. And so what they're going to do with Gurley is just keep him between the tackles, and yeah, he's going to vulture some touchdowns like he always does. It's still Todd Gurley, but we don't know when that knee, will resurface, reagitate, and then all of a sudden he's going to miss some time, or who knows. So that's why Henderson's so valuable. He can bust it to the house. So be looking for him in all your drafts with Jalen Samuels. Those are the two people in your redraft. You need to start really paying attention. And I hate to say it because I'm not a huge mock drafter, but you need to play around with some different versions of what rounds you're going to try to get him. In a setup like Scott Fish, you're just trying to hit a home run, right? I just told you how I played it safe with my first 3 picks, but I will start hitting some home runs with some of those folks right there coming up. What you have to decide in your redraft league is the same thing. So I have no problem with taking those guys in the third, the fourth round. Why not? And that's where we're at right now. So let's see how this thing develops for me on the comeback. It's going to take a long time. This is a slow draft. And if you don't know how these work and you're saying, what is this fishbowl, right? So they take like a bunch of fantasy analysts, right? I mean, RotoPat, one of the best, dude. This guy's huge, really, really big name in the industry. And then they couple it with some fans, right? So if you're listening to this confused, I'm sorry if I didn't explain it, but you can check it out on scottfishbowl.com. But when you couple the fans and the analysts, it's fun. And I don't know, they've invited me. Scott's very nice. He's so generous. I'm just lucky to get in. To be honest with you, I'm no analyst, but I'm pretty good at this stuff, I will say. I'm going to toot my own horn there. I mean, I made the playoffs. I have some good teams. I have some good picks. I know what I'm doing. But at the same time, there's always guys better, and that's what happens with this. Like the PGA, man, there's always guys better than you. But a lot of this is not mocking so much. It's more of who you value, where are you going to take guys, and throw the ADP articles out the window, right? You have to be able to analyze a draft. You have to understand where scarcity is. You're going to see some runs in this type of thing where you're going to see a run on tight end pretty soon, run on quarterback, right? And it depends on people how they're going to wait. Typically in the settings right now as I analyst, you need to fade quarterback. But I'm not going to pass up Andrew Luck. I'm sorry. When he came to me there, it's going to be like 23 picks until I pick again. I'm sorry. I'm going to lock in a quarterback one because this league really, really gets silly when you don't have anybody but Joe Flacco to start, and you won't make it. It just doesn't work. So, with that, we're gonna do some more analysis. Let's talk about Kittle really quick. Just since I'm a Niner fan, I'm getting a lot of emails on this one. But while Kittle went here at the end of the first round, and I think he's a great pick, and blah blah blah. I mean, you're talking about a career yards after catch year last year, and that just doesn't happen. I think history will say he's going to come back down to earth, and that's the God honest truth, fellas. I don't think you need to reach for Kittle here this year. Just remember he's a good tight end. Just remember he gets Jimmy Garoppolo back, so it's going to be a completely different offense. Shanny's going to run some crazy wideouts and stuff, and while he still will be awesome, don't get me wrong, I think people picking him this early in redraft, not in Fish. In Fishbowl, I'm okay with this because the tight ends are mega juiced up with these bonuses and all kinds of incentives, right? You get 0.5 extra for first down, 0.5 extra for reception. I'm telling you redrafters out there, because my whole aim at this video is, like I said, you need to study the guys in the Fishbowl, okay? And you need to find out why people are doing certain things that are so out of the ordinary. And And as this thing kind of moves through, and we'll examine some of the chess pieces, you'll see why people are doing certain things. To me, I don't know why Joe Mixon went right here. That was my one thing. I'm just, anybody on the Bengals or the Washington Redskins, I swear to God, I'm running for the hills. I don't understand that pick. Some people are just so high on Mixon, and look, I respect his talent and everything like that, but I just don't know. I'm not high on him. The other guy we were talking about earlier was Dalvin Cook. I'm very high on him. I think Cousins has one of the best years ever. He's in the system now. He understands it. He's comfortable. And with Dalvin Cook's injury and all that stuff, blah, 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 those should never be worries in fantasy football. I think Cook has an amazing year. So does Melvin Gordon. I think that they're very strong picks here in the fishbowl. Let's talk about who else. Who else were we going to talk about this year? Le'Veon Bell. We are going to find out very, very quickly what happens to Le'Veon Bell, because he was so used to that comfy blanket offensive line in Pittsburgh, his slippery runs through the tackles. Will he do that in the Jets? I don't know, but he's a high volume running back, and that's what scores well in this setting. So that's going to be fun. What am I going to do next? I think I'm going to build some more wide receiver here. It's going to be super fun to throw darts at a lot of these running backs. David Montgomery of Chicago is somebody interesting. I already told you about Darrell Henderson and Jalen Samuels. Those are the guys I want, and those are the guys I'll take all day long, and in a setting like this. So we'll just have to see how this thing goes. But if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Give me some advice. Tell me who I should take. Like I told you, for my second quarterback, I'd like to get a Cousins or a Matt Ryan, maybe middle of this draft. But at this point, I don't really think you need to go for any more quarterbacks when you got Andrew Luck. I think I can fill the meat and potatoes of this team and then go get somebody later on. That's just me. Unless something crazy happens, I need to get some more runners and some more wide receivers. You might be wondering why I haven't mentioned any tight ends. Austin Hooper is the tight end this year. Okay, he's the guy. You got to get Hooper. You got to get Everett. Another thing that Sean McVay told my buddy at the charity event was watch out for the tight end on the Rams. You are going to hear from him this year. So those are kind of my guys I'm looking at. I love a Vance McDonald on Pittsburgh, but this year, if you don't get the top 3 or 4, and O.J. Howard was tempting for about a half a millisecond, and I know he's going to have a good explosive year with Arians in Tampa Bay. But I'm not reaching for the tight end unless you could have one of these 3 that are seen there. If you're not first, you're last. It rings true. Let's not get crazy ahead of ourselves on these tight ends. And so I think it's Hooper. It's definitely Everett, and then I also like Cook on the Saints. And so those kind of guys I think can surface later in this settings. And you know, if you sneak a Hooper in and he has an explosive year, the year we've all been waiting for, the guy's good enough, coordinator's good enough over there, everybody loves Atlanta, they're in the dome, Matt Ryan, then you can kind of outsmart this thing by really building your wide receivers, and that's kind of what I think I'm going to do next. You know, there's so many wide receivers still out here. You got to keep building. I think you need about 9 wide receivers. I think you need 3 quarterbacks in this thing. I don't know, a whole slew of running backs, and then at some point, like I said, you need 2 to 3 tight ends. And last year I didn't have – Matt Ryan just went, if you're looking right there. This is live. This guy's on the clock. It's a slow draft, folks, but it's got a sleep timer, so it's a 6-hour clock. And this fan art just took Matt Ryan. So, okay, no problem. I mean, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start to see some runs here pretty soon, and perhaps it's a quarterback run. What this does do for me, by the way, is – when you take an Andrew Luck in the fishbowl like this, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks off the board, okay? There's only 32 teams in fantasy football, right? So what this does is every time a quarterback hits, right, it's pushing value, pushing wide receivers, and that's kind of my plan. And I'm so happy, by the way, I haven't talked about Evans yet, but I'm so happy Evans fell to me in the 3rd round, the 3.2. The 3-2 pitch, Mike Evans. You know, that in the 3rd round to me made me smile because I got a piece of that offense, I got a piece of Indy, and a piece of New Orleans. And so, like I said, dude, keep pushing these tight ends. I hope someone takes O.J. Howard. I hope someone takes some more quarterbacks in here. Just keep pushing that train all the way back, and we're going to be locked and loaded. Sometimes the 102 can be very sneaky. It can be very good because I'm in front of Bobby on this time around, and I think that's what's exciting to me is I can snipe a couple guys that he may have on his list. He may get me on the back-to-back, but what's going to happen here with him is he's not going to take back-to-back quarterbacks, so I can kind of calculate him on what he's going to do, and then I can maybe strategize on where I'm going to be the following round as I project with some of the guys I'm talking about. Thanks for listening. I hope you keep in touch. You can watch us here on the board. Basically, what you do is you go to myfantasyleague.com if you want to watch this draft or check in every once in a while. And on the league ID, enter 55664. 55664. When you go to that league ID, and boom, this screen will pop up. And I advise you, if you don't know anything about the Scott Fishbowl, and I got some redrafters, I got some dynasty guys, I got some just fantasy football lovers. My advice to you is when you do all your mocks on all these other websites, you need to also go in here. There's freaking 100 divisions in here, okay? Why don't you go find some of your favorite guys that you follow and like to hear from, and just watch these drafts unfold, take notes, and then try some of the theories. I mean, one of my favorite guys on this Scott Fishbowl is Moody, right? And he took I think it was 4 tight ends in a row. Basically just boom, 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 boom. 4 tight ends in a row, right? He's locking up the tight end. He's going to create scarcity and leave everybody with nobody in the tight end. I love strategies like that. Maybe you can learn something from that. Why is he doing that? He's looked at the settings. He sees something that no one else is going to try, and that's kind of the fun of this whole thing. I think the Scott Fishbowl is a great warm-up to regular redraft leagues and even dynasty leagues, because a guy like me, I'm going to be throwing darts at a ton of fools that some of these guys are going to be like, huh? Who's Pringle on the Chargers? What? Who's that guy if he makes the 53-man roster? What if, right? But if you look what was it? I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, my first Scott Fishbowl, my very last pick was Juju, okay? Right here. He was my number 22 pick. And that's what I'm talking about in this thing, okay? When you really dive into it. I think I got Kamara around 16 or 17. Those are the type of things that win these type of tournaments. Those are the type of mentalities I think you should have for your redraft league too. Play it conservative like I do, or play it aggressive. To me, I'm a conservative down the first 3-4 rounds, and then I start getting wild because there's no reason not to. I mean, I already have a good foundation, and then you can just go hog wild and see what you can get. Good luck out there today, and this summer as you mock and everything. Throw me some questions or whatever. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. I like being small. I don't like being with all these big guys. I have a small channel, and for those that listen, maybe you get some nuggets of information. And it's just a hobby. I mean, you're not doing this to get paid. I don't do this for any money because it's just fun. A hobby should be pure fun, and I truthfully just like giving back to all you guys. And maybe you've learned something, maybe you haven't, but throw me some comments and maybe we can discuss it. I think that's what this whole thing is about. I mean, right, this is really just all subjective stuff, and I look forward to checking you on the next video. Thanks for listening. Be good now.